If you ignore this before the 21st of September, you will regret it for the rest of your life. God's chosen ones. This is not a casual message, it is a final warning. Heaven has drawn a line, and if you cross it blind, you may lose something that can never be recovered. Some opportunities return. This one does not, by even pressing play. You've stepped onto dangerous ground. The weight of this hour is not for the faint-hearted. Many will dismiss this, but those who ignore it will one day look back and wish they had listened. To those who have kept this channel alive, even through super thanks, I honor you. You already sense the urgency of this moment. And if your spirit trembles while hearing this, comment 777 now to mark yourself as one who hears the alarm. The 21st of September will not pass like any other date. It carries consequences. It carries separation. It carries destiny. The real danger is not in curses or shadows. It is in what you lose forever the moment you look away. So listen closely, because what I am about to reveal could decide whether you walk in blessing or in regret. God's chosen ones. If you ignore this before the 21st of September, you'll regret forever. When you step into truth as one of God's chosen, you do not step into ease, you step into fire. Comfort evaporates. Approval slips away. The false peace that once kept you numb and controlled begins to shatter. And suddenly, the silence that covered your life is no longer enough to protect the fragile systems around you. Like the prophets of old, you become a mirror, unwelcome, piercing, and unrelenting. Jesus himself said, "If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you." John 15:18. Do you sense the weight of those words resting on your journey today? Each rejection you face is not an accident, but a signal that you have been marked as different. Every time you lose human approval, you step deeper into divine validation. And in that loss, you find a freedom that cannot be stolen by those who despise your reflection. This awakening does not simply make you different, it makes you dangerous. Systems built on lies cannot tolerate your freedom. You will be judged. Just as Jeremiah was mocked for proclaiming truth at the city gates, you will be excluded. Just as Daniel was cast into the lion's den, you will be targeted. Just as Paul was stoned and left for dead. Yet, every rejection is a sign that your spirit is no longer trapped. Have you noticed how the very doors you thought would bring you security now crumble when you walk through them? Those shattered doors are proof that your path is divinely rerouted. You are not meant to be imprisoned by the opinions of men, but sustained by the voice of God. The same rejection that feels heavy is also the fire that purifies your destiny. The risk is undeniable, but what is the cost of staying asleep? Jesus declared, "For what shall it profit a man, if he shall gain the whole world, and lose his own soul?" Mark 8:36. If you cling to comfort, you will wake up one day realizing you traded eternity for shadows. That is why awakening, even with pain, is proof that you are still aligned with heaven's frequency. The longer you delay, the deeper the chains dig into your soul. The longer you stay silent, the more your light dims in a darkened world. Could it be that your pain right now is actually the sound of your spirit breaking through prison walls? What feels like loss is really the refining proof that you cannot stay where you were. You never signed up for this with your lips, but your soul did long before your first breath. The psalmist affirms, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Jeremiah 1-5. The war you face is not random, it is ancient, stretching beyond generations. echoing through time like thunder rolling across mountains? What if the very struggles you are facing today are not accidents but inheritances, burdens your spirit agreed to carry because God trusted you to withstand them? Like Abraham carrying the promise of nations in his bloodline, you are carrying the weight of futures not yet born. The battles you endure are not just about you, they are about those who will come after you, and if you refuse to stand, who will rise in your place? This is not a poetic metaphor, it is a spiritual reality. Some battles you fight did not even begin in your lifetime. They are reverberations of curses, chains, and cycles that tried to outlive your ancestors. Yet God promises, no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Doesn't that ignite hope that what crushed others will break under your feet? The very storms that swallowed your lineage are now being forced to release you. You are not merely fighting for yourself, you are overturning verdicts written in the blood of those before you. Have you realized that your endurance today could be the turning point that rewrites history for your family line? But let us pause and examine examples from history. The late Pope John Paul II, a man who faced the brutality of both Nazi occupation and communist oppression, declared with unshakable conviction, "Do not be afraid. Open the doors wide for Christ." He was a chosen one who bore scars of resistance, yet his courage transformed entire nations. If fear could not silence him, why should fear silence you? His faithfulness became a cornerstone of revival, proving that when one life burns brightly, entire cultures shift. And if one man's courage can break the back of tyranny, imagine what your obedience could unlock in your generation. Could it be that heaven is waiting on your eyes? And on the other side, we see the tragic cost of those who resist truth. Consider Napoleon Bonaparte. Once the most feared general in Europe, his hunger for power blinded him to humility. And in the end, he found himself abandoned on a barren island, stripped of influence, remembered as a tyrant whose empire collapsed. Isn't it sobering how the arrogance of one man can turn glory into exile? His fate warns us. Resisting divine truth always carries consequences. Power without alignment always crumbles. Influence without surrender always collapses into dust. And perhaps his downfall is echoing even now, reminding us that every empire built on pride has an expiration date. Think about this turning point in your life like a climactic moment in a great battle. The historian Thucydides once described wars as decided not just by armies, but by the inner morale of those who fight. And here you are, caught in the clash of visible and invisible kingdoms. Your spirit positioned like a fortress in the midst of chaos. Will you retreat into the illusion of safety? Or will you rise as a warrior who claims territory not just for yourself, but for generations after you? The weight of your decision is heavier than you think. The sound of your yes could tip the scales of history. And your refusal to shrink back could become the defining moment heaven has been waiting for. This moment, this exact September, marks a critical shift. The battlefield of your soul has reached its breaking point. Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14. You cannot remain neutral anymore. The war will not wait. Heaven has placed the sword of choice in your hands. If you delay, the moment will pass, and opportunities will collapse like fallen walls. But if you rise, the gates of opposition will tremble. If you decide now, the story will turn in your favor. And if you resist fear, the voice of God will carry you further than you imagined. So rise, chosen one. Stand in the truth, even if it strips you of comfort, approval, and false peace. You are not here to blend in, you are here to break chains. The echo of eternity has called your name, and your silence will cost more than your courage ever will. Stand up now, because the battle has reached its turning point, and victory belongs to those who refuse to bow to fear. Remember, even David declared, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalm 27:1. And if David could face giants with a sling, surely you can face your battlefield with faith. The time has come, rise. Because history will not wait for you. Opposition is escalating, and the battlefield is no longer quiet. Attaque spirits sharper. Distraction, roar, lude. And every second you delay or keep silent, the enemy presses further into ground that belongs to you. The forces that thrive on fear, confusion, and silence multiply when you fail to step forward. This war is not about preference, it is about survival. Jesus warned his followers, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life, and have it abundantly." John 10:10. Isn't it clear that hesitation is no longer harmless, but a gateway for destruction, like a tree left unwatered? Silence, invite, decay. Like prey that freezes in fear, inaction invites the predator to advance. You have been conditioned to think your power is insignificant, that your voice carries no weight. That is precisely why you are targeted, because if you rise, if you speak, if you release what God has already placed inside you, the balance of everything shifts. It was the same with Moses, who stuttered but still stood before Pharaoh. For God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. 1 Corinthians 1:27. Could it be that your weakness is the very reason heaven chose you? A tiny spark can ignite a forest. A single raindrop can disturb the surface of an entire lake. The lion's roar may be feared, but it is often the quiet rustle of grass that signals real danger to the herd. No, you did not consciously sign up for this war, but your soul understood the stakes and chose to be here. The prophet Jeremiah declared, "It is like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary with holding it in, and I cannot." Jeremiah 20:9. That fire inside you is proof you were never meant to remain silent. The energy does not fall randomly from the sky. It erupts from the core of who you are. Think of a seed beneath the earth, silent, unseen. Yet at the appointed season, it breaks the soil with unstoppable force. Have you ever wondered if the stirring you feel now is the divine signal that your season of emergence has arrived? And if you are still here, still listening, it is not coincidence, it is covenant. You are part of the front line, whether you have embraced it or not. Nothing extraordinary is marked on tomorrow's heavens. No eclipse, no comet, no rare constellation. And yet, is it not profound that God works without spectacle? Elijah once heard not the earthquake, nor the fire, but a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. The greatest shifts do not demand the universe to rearrange its stars. They require you to move. Your decision becomes the earthquake. Your obedience becomes the fire. The 21st of September carries more weight than a calendar page. It is a marker, a turning point. The number 21 speaks of cycles completed, chapters sealed, and doors closing, so that new ones may open. Break it down further: 2 and 1, duality, meeting, unity, balance, finding power, togetherness, marrying identity. That is not chance, it is divine rhythm, like the tide that crashes and retreats to make way for the next wave. This date carries a vibration of completion. Do you feel it, the resonance of something within you demanding to be birthed? Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. If you step into that day unaware, it will vanish like sand slipping through your fingers. Just another date. Just another sunrise. And you will miss what heaven wrote into the fabric of time. But if you step with awareness, if you walk into it like Esther walking into the king's court, daring to claim what already burns within you, then the shift will not only come, it will remain. The truth is, the 21st of September matters not because the stars demand it, but because your spirit demands it. Shakespeare's Hamlet whispers across time, there is a special providence in the fall of a sparrow. Hamlet uttered these words on the edge of his fate. Standing before a duel that could end his life, he recognized that even the smallest detail, even the death of a sparrow, is overseen by divine providence. In that moment, he stopped wrestling with fear and surrendered to alignment with destiny. Nothing was random, not even the timing of his last breath. If providence governs the sparrow, how much more does it govern the steps of the chosen? Nothing in your journey is wasted, not even the pauses, the delays, or the detours. Nothing is random, not even this moment. So rise, chosen one. Do not let the enemy harvest your silence. Do not surrender your ground to fear. The shift of tomorrow is not in the sky, it is in your hands. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Stand now, because heaven has already equipped you. Stand now, because your yes can move history. Stand now, because the battle will not wait for hesitation. Chosen ones are the trigger point for transformation, the spark that ignites an entire chain reaction. When you move, reality bends. When you step forward, atmospheres shift. If you are hearing this now, it is no coincidence. Your presence in the unfolding hours of tomorrow carries more influence than you have dared to admit. That is why the 21st of September is not merely another date in the calendar. It is a mirror polished by heaven, reflecting not the randomness of time, but the readiness of your soul. And what will it reveal? Will it reflect hesitation, or will it unveil obedience? Each decision you make reverberates like waves across still water, creating ripples that touch lives you cannot even see. Even silence speaks, and it speaks loudly to the spiritual world. This date has been carved into eternity, not as an accident, but as a checkpoint for your destiny. Deep within, you already know the assignment. It has never been hidden from you. It has echoed like resonant frequencies in the chambers of your heart since the day you first awakened. The tension you feel is not confusion, it is resonance. Just as in physics, when two strings vibrating at the same frequency cause each other to tremble, your spirit has been trembling under the call of God. Every whisper of intuition, every dream that jolted you awake at midnight, every coincidence was not random. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. Job 33:14. Can you feel it? The reverberations have always been there, and just as an echo bouncing through a canyon only confirms the voice that first called, your experiences have only confirmed that heaven has been speaking all along. If creation itself responds to vibration, how much more should your spirit respond to God's summons? Yet here lies the uncomfortable truth. You have delayed. You have convinced yourself you are lost, when in reality, the map was always in your hand. Delay has become a comfortable architecture, a cathedral of excuses built brick by brick to shield you from responsibility. But like any structure built on sand, it cannot last. Didn't Jesus warn? The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Matthew 7:27. Could it be that the shaking you feel in your life is not punishment but demolition, the collapse of false walls so the true foundation can emerge? Each tremor in your circumstances is heaven removing scaffolding that was never meant to support your future. And though demolition feels like destruction, it is often the preparation for a stronger design. What if your discomfort is actually proof that heaven is rebuilding your life on eternal ground? Your soul is not confused, your ego is stalling. And that is the true battle, isn't it? Because to step into a mission means to dismantle the self that once felt safe. To rise into calling means to bury the version of you that loved shadows more than light. It is like the moment in combat sports when the crowd grows silent before the final round, begins a pause heavy with tension. In that silence, the fighter must decide, retreat or rise. And you, chosen one, are standing in that silence right now. Every angel leans in to see your choice. And even demons tremble at the possibility that you might say yes. The arena of your life is waiting for movement, not passivity. Will you become the warrior history remembers, or the fighter who hesitated and surrendered the crown? But ignoring the call only makes the fire hotter. The truth does not vanish when you close your eyes. Like pressure in the core of a star, it only intensifies until it births light. Jeremiah confessed, "His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." Jeremiah 20:9. Doesn't this mirror your own restlessness? The more you suppress it, the more it consumes you from within. Have you noticed how the things you try to distract yourself with no longer satisfy? Have you realized that delay tastes bitterer each time you swallow it? That inner burning is not punishment, it is proof you are alive to your calling. And no fire placed by God can be extinguished by your denial. History proves the danger of delay and the power of alignment. The painter Vincent van Gogh, though overlooked in his lifetime, once said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" He painted through madness, rejection, and obscurity because he could not silence the fire within. His legacy reminds us, obscurity is not failure, it is training for immortality. And what if your obedience now, though unseen, is shaping a legacy that future generations will call light, just as stars that died long ago still shine their light across galaxies? Your choices today could illuminate the path for countless lives after you. Legacy is not built in applause, it is built in obedience. Could it be that your hidden yes is already echoing into eternity? And so, chosen one, stop pretending you do not know. The signs have never ceased. Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. Habakkuk 2:2. Every nudge, every synchronicity, every sudden burst of courage has been heaven's handwriting on the walls of your destiny. The question is not whether you have seen the signs. The question is whether you will finally stop resisting and step forward. The heavens are not confused about who you are. You are. The call is not unclear, the fear is, and at some point, indecision becomes disobedience. Will you let another season pass? Or will you finally rise into alignment with the blueprint written for your soul? So rise before the 21st of September passes like another forgotten sunrise. Rise before delay builds another false cathedral around you. Rise because you were never called to live hidden behind excuses. Arise, shine, For your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. This is your moment, and heaven is waiting for your eyes. When you stand, you won't just save yourself, you'll shift generations. When you obey, you won't just break your chains, you'll break the chains of many. So rise, chosen one, let the silence end. Let the fire out, and let the world see what heaven already knows you are. The question is, what are you truly waiting for? Fear always shows up right before the threshold of transformation. It is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is the alarm bell that you are standing close to the doorway that matters most. The enemy hopes you misinterpret it. Many think fear is a command to stop, but for the chosen, it is often a signal to advance. Didn't Paul remind Timothy? For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. Could it be that the trembling in your chest is not danger but confirmation? Fear is the echo that proves you are near a breakthrough, like thunder rolling before rain. Its presence is not meant to paralyze you, but to announce that the atmosphere is about to shift. And what if the very pressure you feel right now is the proof that the walls around you are already beginning to crack? Fear always positions itself at the exact place you have avoided your entire life. The doorway that terrifies you most is usually the one leading to your next level. That is why fear feels so strategic, because it is. It is designed by past experiences, by voices that told you to shrink, by systems that punished your boldness. Have you noticed how every opinion, every past wound, every rejection seems to echo the same message: stay small? But in truth, those echoes are nothing but smoke before the fire of breakthrough. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Psalm 56:3. If David could run toward Goliath with trembling hands but steady faith, what could happen if you did the same? Remember, giants never guard empty ground. They stand only where treasure is hidden. And if your giant has appeared, it is because the treasure of your next season is near. Fear is layered with illusions: the craving for approval, the terror of loss, the weight of loneliness. It manifests as hesitation, excuses, or anxiety so thick it feels like a chain. And it always shows up when you are standing in front of a move that could liberate you. Doesn't that seem intentional? Like the Red Sea blocking Israel's escape until Moses lifted the staff. Fear rises as the last test before crossing into freedom. And just as the waters split, your fear too will part if you refuse to turn back. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:10. Isn't it possible that the shaking you feel in your chest is not weakness but the roar of destiny trying to push its way out, like a bird breaking through the shell of its egg? The struggle is proof that life is waiting on the other side. And if you break through, you will discover wings you never knew you had. Fear does not try to destroy you outright. It tries to contain you. It tells you that the known, even if it is suffocating, is safer than the unknown. It weaponizes survival instincts to keep you caged. Fear paints a vivid picture of every possible failure, but hides from you the vision of what might happen if you rise. That is its greatest lie. Because what is truly at stake is not your safety, but your destiny. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do to me? Psalm 118:6. Isn't it striking that fear never asks you to imagine the glory of what could go right? It always parades the shadow, but never shows you the sunrise, and yet the dawn is inevitable. Your only choice is whether you will see it. History itself reflects this truth. The scientist Marie Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, once declared, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood." She faced radiation without knowing its dangers, endured rejection in a male-dominated world, and still pressed forward. Her courage did not remove the fear, but it made the fear powerless. If she resolves advanced science for generations, how much more can you resolve to advance heaven's purpose in your life? On the opposite side stands Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who feared the crowd more than he feared truth. Though he knew Jesus was innocent, his fear of man's opinion led him to wash his hands and surrender the Son of God to crucifixion. His name now echoes through history as the one who chose cowardice over conviction. Isn't that the ultimate warning of what fear can cost? Fear guards the line between the life you live and the life you were born for. And here is the sobering reality. That line does not dissolve with time. It waits. It stalks you. It whispers the same challenge again and again. Will you stay small? Or will you finally lose the counterfeit peace and step into authentic freedom? Perfect love drives out fear. 1 John 4:18. Every chosen one reaches a moment when they realize that the very thing they fear most holds the key to their release. Each delay only makes the test return stronger. But the moment you move, the illusion collapses, and the doorway becomes the passage into promise. Could it be that everything you have asked God for is waiting just on the other side of what you fear most? So, rise. Chosen one, fear is not your end. It is your invitation. The trembling in your chest is not the signal to retreat, but the drumbeat of your breakthrough. Walk through the doorway. Lose the false safety. Claim the life that has been waiting for you since the beginning. The 21st of September will not wait for hesitation, and neither will your destiny. Stand up now, for heaven is watching, and history is waiting for your eyes. Let fear be the proof that you are on holy ground, and let your courage be the song that silences its voice forever. Whether it's being seen, being alone, being misunderstood, or being fully exposed. Whatever you resist is almost always the exact path forward. The longer you avoid it, the louder it becomes, not because it is threatening you, but because your soul is insisting you move toward it. You can delay, distract, or even numb yourself. But resistance is like a river pressing against a dam. The water does not disappear, it builds, stronger and more urgent, until it either breaks through or reshapes the land. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. Could it be that the pressure you feel now is not punishment but propulsion? The dam may look intimidating, but behind it lies the force that waters valleys, feeds forests, and awakens deserts into bloom. What if your resistance is the reservoir, waiting for your courage to release it into life? You can pretend it isn't there, but the weight never leaves because deep inside your spirit already knows the truth. Your evolution, your rising, your transformation lies just on the other side of this resistance. That is the real test. Not whether you can move when life feels easy, but whether you will step when every thought screams for you to freeze. Isn't it the way of the eagle? The young eagle is forced out of the nest, its wings trembling, facing the terror of the open sky. Yet, in the very act of falling, it discovers it was built to fly. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40-31. What if your fall is really your flight training? And what if your trembling is not weakness but the vibration of wings waking for the very first time? The nest is safe, but it cannot carry you into the heights. Only the sky can reveal your strength. And once you move, something shifts. The fear doesn't vanish in a moment, but its power dissolves. You realize it was never a solid wall, but a thin veil. A filter testing your resolve. A gatekeeper asking how deeply you desire the life you claim to want. The oak tree is not born tall. It first breaks through the soil as a fragile shoot. The weight of the earth pressing against it is not its enemy, but its training ground. Could the resistance you face now be the same God's way of ensuring your roots are deep before your branches stretch wide? The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Psalm 92:12. A seed does not curse the soil pressing against it. It uses the weight to push upward. Could it be that the heaviness you feel is the very soil meant to launch you higher? Without pressure, no seed awakens. Without resistance, no roots hold. Without roots, no crown can last. The fear you feel is not proof that you're lost. It is proof you've arrived at the threshold. And at thresholds, decisions are everything. Isn't it strange that you've always felt like an outsider? Even in rooms where others seemed perfectly at home, that has never been social awkwardness or a flaw. It is divine evidence that you were not meant to adapt to what is broken. Think of the salmon swimming upstream, battered by current, bruised by rocks. Yet it is only in the fight against the river that it fulfills its purpose to reach new life. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you, as though something strange were happening to you. 1 Peter 4:12. What if the very river that fights you is guiding you home? Even mountains are carved by rivers that refuse to retreat. If a fish can transform resistance into destiny, how much more can you, who carry God's Spirit, turn trial into testimony? The arts echo this truth. In Beethoven's Symphonie No. Woo, the ominous four-note motif, da-da-da-dum, is not a threat, but an announcement. Tension builds, darkness presses, but it resolves into triumph, proving that fear is only the opening movement of a greater song. Isn't that the same melody your life is playing now? That every pounding heartbeat of dread is not the end, but the prelude to victory. Shakespeare captured it in The Tempest. Hell is empty, and all the devils are here. Yet even in chaos, Providence works through storms to bring shipwrecked souls to redemption. Could it be that your storm is carrying you exactly where you were meant to be all along? Storms that wreck ships also wash treasure ashore, and tempests that terrify sailors also prepare new coasts for discovery. Fear, like a tempest, is loud. But behind the noise is a hand arranging the journey. So rise, chosen one. Resistance is not your enemy, it is your compass. Fear is not your grave, it is your threshold. What you resist most is the very ground where freedom waits. Step forward now, not when it feels safe, but precisely because it doesn't. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Tomorrow is not random, it is your doorway. Do not waste it standing still. Step through, because heaven has already declared your name. And remember, every eagle that soars was once a trembling chick. Every oak towering above valleys was once a buried seed. Every symphony of triumph began with 4 notes of tension. So rise, because everything around you has already been waiting for you to take your place. From a young age, you knew something was off. The way people bowed to rules they didn't believe in, the way truth was treated like a threat, and silence was rewarded, while honesty brought punishment. You noticed it not because you were searching for flaws, but because you could never pretend. That inability to lie to yourself is not a weakness, it is one of your most powerful traits as a chosen one. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Have you ever wondered why others could adapt so easily to illusions that made you restless? The truth is, your eyes were wired to see beyond the veil. That vision has always been your strength, even when it made life harder. And yet that same trait made life more difficult. You tried to play along. You tried to be what people needed you to be. You forced yourself to enter rooms where comfort depended on silence, even when it meant betraying what you knew was right. And still, the discomfort never left you. That discomfort is not a flaw, it is your compass. Isn't it remarkable that even a compass needle trembles before it aligns with true north? This is the way. Walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. Your trembling was never confusion. It was direction. Like steel pulled by a magnetic field, your soul has always leaned toward truth. No matter how much you tried to resist it, you weren't placed on earth to blend in or numb yourself until you stopped caring. You were placed here as an interruption to cycles of falsehood. The world teaches people to chase comfort, but you were built to disrupt. That's why fitting in feels heavy, and why, even in safe spaces, something inside you whispers, "This is not your home." Could it be that your discomfort is heaven's architecture, scaffolding around your life as God constructs something eternal? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Like a building under renovation, the dust and noise around you are proof that new design is unfolding. The discomfort is not punishment, it is construction. Chosen ones carry a vibration that naturally resists illusion, and vibration always causes friction, just as in physics. When one frequency meets another, interference patterns form distortion first, then clarity. Your very presence is that interference. You don't try to stir conflict, yet you become the mirror others cannot bear to see. Doesn't this explain why conversations suddenly shift when you enter, or why rooms built on denial feel uneasy when you stand in them? Light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Darkness cannot remain comfortable around light, and if you feel like you never belong, it is not rejection, it is recognition. Heaven has marked you with resonance that the world cannot ignore. History echoes this pattern. The Italian architect and engineer Filippo Brunelleschi, who designed the Great Dome of Florence, faced relentless opposition. His methods were doubted, his designs ridiculed, yet he held to a vision no one else could see. Century later, his dome still towers as proof that true vision disrupts before it builds. In contrast, think of those who pursued applause over integrity, leaders who bent truth for temporary peace, only to see their empires collapse into dust. Isn't that a warning? Discomfort is the refining fire that creates endurance, but compromise is the erosion that leaves ruins. So, no, you won't ever feel fully at home in this version of the world. But that doesn't mean you don't belong. It means you weren't designed for the old. You were chosen to birth the new. The pressure you feel is not a signal of failure. It is the force that forges power. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. Romans 5:3-4. Could it be that the ache in your chest is not weakness, but the sound of power being formed in silence? The moment has come to stop resisting the discomfort and start recognizing it as holy fire shaping your destiny. So rise. Chosen one. Stop numbing. Stop pretending. Stop shrinking. You are not here to adjust. You are here to announce heaven's design. Let the discomfort refine you until it becomes strength. Let the fire within burn until it becomes a beacon. The 21st of September is not a random date, it is a doorway. Step through. Because the pressure was never meant to crush you, it was always meant to crown you. It's the exact environment that forces you to decide, will you shrink just to survive? Or will you rise and create? This tension isn't random, it is the dividing line between existence and destiny. It's easy to look around and wonder why others don't feel the same weight, why they coast through life, numbed by routine, satisfied with distraction. But here's the truth. They aren't carrying what you are. They weren't built for the fire you've been assigned to walk through. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. Isn't it clear that the heaviness on your shoulders is evidence of a higher calling? The struggle is not punishment. It is proof that heaven has trusted you with responsibility others could never bear. Make no mistake. Your presence here is deliberate. You did not land in this timeline by accident. You were placed here to be awake in an era of mass denial, to remember in an age of spiritual amnesia, to act in a generation paralyzed by hesitation. Of course it hurts. Of course it isolates. But even that pain is confirmation. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:10. Could it be that the sting of rejection is actually the seal of your authenticity? If your voice didn't matter, the world would not work so hard to silence it. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are marks of survival in a war that most don't even know they are fighting. Yes, it feels like something is wrong with you when you're surrounded by people pretending they're fine. But that feeling, as painful as it is, means you are awake. It means the system didn't break you. It means your spirit still has a voice. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. Haven't you noticed that even in silence, something inside you refuses to bow? Your very existence agitates what others have buried. You don't have to shout to shake the atmosphere. Sometimes your quiet presence is enough. And if they misunderstand you, rejoice. For it is a sign that your spirit carries a frequency this world cannot domesticate. You are not supposed to be comfortable here. You are supposed to be activated. And that activation is happening now. Your soul comes alive when the world grows quiet, when the noise of distraction fades. Haven't you felt it? That strange restlessness at night, when everyone else is asleep and you're staring at the ceiling, heart racing with thoughts you cannot shut off. That is not insomnia, it is an invitation. In the night I remember your name, O Lord, and I will keep your law. Psalm 119:55. The stillness between 2 and 5 a.m. is not an accident. It is the activation window, the crack in the veil where your soul edges closer to eternal memory. What if your sleeplessness is actually your spirit keeping watch when the world is blind? And history reflects this mystery. The activist and Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai, even as a young girl, felt the fire of purpose burning when others around her were silent. She once said, "When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful." Her voice broke through systems of fear, proving that even in the darkest environments, a single awakened soul can shift nations. And yet, in contrast, consider Herod Antipas, the ruler who silenced John the Baptist out of fear and pride. His refusal to heed the truth left his legacy stained with shame, remembered only for cowardice and cruelty. Doesn't his downfall warn us that ignoring the voice of God's messengers always carries consequences? So, chosen one, stop despising the discomfort. Stop wishing away the restlessness. What you feel is not a flaw, it is fuel. You were never meant to fit into a world built on denial. You were meant to shake it. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. The 21st of September is not just a date on the calendar, it is your summons. Rise now. Step out of hesitation and into history. The world may sleep, but heaven is wide awake, waiting for your yes. The visions, the fears, the persistent whisper that you are meant for something greater, always rise when the world goes quiet. Silence strips away distraction, and your soul refuses to be muted any longer. Insomnia is not always a curse. Sometimes it is the divine knock at the door you've been pretending not to hear. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. Could it be that the very hours you despise are the ones heaven reserves to speak with you most clearly? Like the ocean at low tide, revealing what the waves had hidden, the stillness of night uncovers treasures the day tries to bury. The more you resist these hours, the more insistent they become. For truth cannot remain suppressed forever. Even shadows, when stretched long in moonlight, point to the light that creates them. Think about it. Some of your deepest insights, your boldest revelations, your most vivid memories surface in those hours. This is not random, it is sacred. At night, when the veil grows thin, the boundary between the physical and the spiritual bends closer. That is why your thoughts feel heavier, sharper. Raver. You are closer to your real self at 3 o'clock a.m. than you are at 3 o'clock p.m. On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Psalm 63:6. Isn't it striking that creation itself reflects this rhythm? Owls seeing clearly in the dark. Flowers like the moonflower blooming only at night. What if your sleeplessness is not emptiness but blooming? The night sky is vast, filled with stars that can only be seen when darkness surrounds you. Could it be that your spirit is the same, shining brightest when distractions fade? Yes. Sometimes those hours flood you with fear, with memories you wish you could silence, with visions you do not yet understand. But ask yourself, why would heaven disturb your rest unless something urgent demanded your attention? Why would your spirit stir if there was nothing to awaken for? God gives songs in the night. Job 35:10. The shadows are not there to torment you, but to activate you. Isn't this the same way a storm shakes the trees, not to destroy them, but to strengthen their roots? Could it be that the shaking inside you at night is training you for the strength daylight will require? The lion hunts most fiercely in the darkness, yet it is in that same darkness the prey awakens to its sharpest instincts. Likewise, your fears are not signs of weakness, but signals that your spirit is sharpening. The insomnia you resent may actually be your initiation, the very proof that you are not meant to sleep through this life. Chosen ones don't slumber through their calling, they are awakened for it. Just as the rooster cries before dawn to announce light, your sleeplessness may be announcing a shift before others see it. Wake up, sleeper. Rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14. Isn't it possible that every restless night is really a trumpet in the spirit, calling you to step into a day you've never lived before, like a cocoon stirring before the butterfly breaks through? The unrest is proof of transformation, pressing at the walls of your old life. Remember, even seeds break in the soil before they sprout toward light. And maybe your breaking right now is nothing less than your becoming. Art has captured this mystery. Mozart's Requiem carries a haunting power, dark, unsettling, yet laced with divine urgency. It begins with dread, but resolves with hope, echoing the truth that the midnight of the soul is never the end, but the passage into morning. And in Goethe's Faust, the restless hunger of a man who cannot sleep through life becomes both his danger and his destiny. Isn't that your story too? That you were never called to be numb, but to burn awake. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. The midnight struggle is often the birthplace of the morning song. Just as waves crash hardest before the tide recedes, so too your spirit may feel its fiercest battle right before the breakthrough. What feels like torment may be the very symphony that ushers you into purpose. So the next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling, don't curse the silence. Ask, what is breaking through right now? What truth am I being forced to face? If you are awake in those hours, it is not by mistake. It is the signal, the pull, the doorway. Step through it, and you will never view your sleepless nights as torment again. You were never called to save everyone. You were called to awaken into yourself. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Tomorrow does not belong to those who slumber. It belongs to those who dare to rise. So rise, chosen one, and let the night that once oppressed you become the night that crowned you. Chosen ones often fall into a dangerous trap because of your sensitivity, your empathy, and your ability to notice wounds others ignore. You begin to believe it is your duty to heal them all. Family members lean on you. Friends draw from you endlessly. Even strangers pour out their pain simply because they sense that you can hold it. And slowly, without noticing, you begin carrying the weight of worlds that were never assigned to you. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Could it be that you are carrying crosses that only Christ himself was meant to carry? Even a bridge, no matter how strong, collapses if asked to hold more than it was designed to bear. And perhaps your trembling now is not weakness, but the warning that your structure is overloaded. But here is the truth no one tells you. Not every broken thing is meant to be fixed by your hands. Some things are meant to remain fractured so that in their very breaking, someone else is awakened. Isn't it true in physics that pressure applied in the right place can shatter glass, but also release light through the cracks? He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. If you step in to rescue every soul, you may interrupt the lessons heaven intended for them. Could it be that your need to fix is sometimes blocking God's design to transform? A surgeon does not rush every operation. Sometimes waiting is the greatest act of wisdom. So too in your life. Discernment is the higher calling, not endless sacrifice. Compassion does not mean constant exhaustion. It means clarity. It means knowing the difference between what is yours to carry and what belongs to God. The trap of the healer is believing that love always equals fixing, but real love sometimes means stepping back. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Isn't it striking that rivers never cling to every rock in their path? They simply flow around, carving their course toward the sea. Likewise, your path was never meant to stop at every wound. It was meant to move with divine current. What if flowing forward is the very act of obedience that heals more than stopping ever could? You are not here to be the endless medic patching wounds until you collapse. You are here to embody transformation so fully that your very existence sends ripples into the atmosphere. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Those who are ready will rise when your light shines, and those who aren't were never your assignment to begin with in psychology. This is resonance. Those vibrating at the same frequency align, while others fall away. Doesn't that explain why some are drawn to your presence while others resist it violently? You are not failing, you are filtering. And the filter is proof that your soul is calibrated to something higher. History gives us vivid reminders of this truth. The Polish social worker Irina Sendler, during World War II, smuggled over 500 Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto. She once said, "Every child saved with my help is the justification of my existence on this earth, and not a title to glory." Her compassion was strategic. She could not save everyone, but she did what she was called to do, and that ripple saved generations. On the other side, think of Pharaoh of Egypt, who hardened his heart against Moses' call for freedom. His obsession with control destroyed his nation. His army drowned in the sea, and his empire's glory crumbled into dust. Doesn't his downfall prove that grasping at what was never yours to hold always ends in ruin? So, chosen one, the truth is this: you were not called to carry every weight. You were not called to mend every fracture. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. The discomfort you feel is not a warning that you are failing. It is the refining fire shaping you into someone who no longer confuses love with rescuing. Rise now, step out of the trap of the healer, and into the clarity of the chosen. Your role is not to fix everyone. You were called to become yourself, fully alive, burning so brightly that others find their way, not because you carried them, but because you lit the path. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know this. You felt the exhaustion pressing on your chest, the resentment simmering beneath your smile, the silent scream of your soul shouting, "Enough! My energy belongs to my mission, not to endless repair work." Guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life. Proverbs 4:23. How long will you let the weight of others bury the fire of your own calling? The truth is, you cannot become who you were destined to be if you are trapped being everyone else's crutch. Have you noticed how every time you overextend yourself, the voice of your own assignment grows quieter? Isn't that the clearest proof that something is out of order? Think of it this way. A surgeon cannot save a patient if they collapse in the middle of the operation. A lighthouse cannot guide ships if its own flame is extinguished. You cannot fulfill your purpose if your strength is constantly poured into voids that never fill. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:30-31. Could it be that your constant fatigue is not a badge of honor, but a warning sign that your energy is being misdirected? Trees never pour their sap into dead branches. They let them fall so life can flow where it is needed most. The higher calling is not about healing everyone else. It is about becoming so aligned, so alive, so fearless in your truth that others are forced to confront their own healing just by encountering you. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5:13-14. Isn't it time you realized that your greatest influence is not in fixing others, but in embodying transformation yourself? When light shines, it does not chase shadows. It simply stands, and shadows flee on their own. The moment you stop trying to rescue what was never yours, you gain the power to step fully into what always was. Delay is a decision, and decisions shape timelines. You need to hear this clearly. Walking away from this moment and doing nothing is still a choice. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. 1 Kings 18:21. Indecision does not protect you, it paralyzes you. It locks you into patterns you already know are crushing your spirit. Isn't that the cruelest trick of all, that fear disguises itself as safety while secretly stealing your future? Like a clock that ticks without moving its hands forward, delay gives the illusion of control while robbing you of time. And history offers us two reminders. The reformer Martin Luther King Jr., who stood against the tide of injustice in America, once declared, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." He did not try to carry every burden, nor did he heal every wound. Instead, he embodied truth so powerfully that his life became a catalyst for transformation. On the opposite side stands King Belshazzar of Babylon, who mocked the holy vessels of God while feasting in arrogance. That very night, the writing appeared on the wall, and his kingdom fell. Daniel 5. Isn't that a warning that ignoring divine truth while indulging in false security always ends in collapse? So arise. Chosen one, stop confusing love with rescue. Stop trading your mission for exhaustion. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6-9. You were never meant to fix everything. You were meant to embody something greater. Step out of indecision. Step into alignment. Let this moment be the line where delay dies and destiny begins. The 21st of September is not just a date, it is a summons. Stand now, because heaven has already written your name into this story. And patterns don't pause just because you're undecided. They deepen, they harden, they steal time from you, while convincing you that you still have more left. Potential doesn't wait forever. Every day, you stay still. The gap between who you are and who you could be grows wider, and eventually that gap becomes regret. Tomorrow is not promised. But even if it comes, it will not come unless you change. This is why the 21st of September matters. Not because the sky will move for you, not because destiny will magically rearrange itself in your favor, but because this is the last moment before the next version of you is decided. Tomorrow will either be the day your awakening begins to manifest, or the day and patterns don't pause just because you are undecided. They deepen, they harden, they steal time from you while convincing you that you still have more left. Potential does not wait forever. It calcifies when neglected. Every day you stay still, the gap between who you are and who you could be grows wider, like a canyon carved by a river that never stops moving. Eventually that gap becomes regret. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90-12. Isn't it sobering that indecision feels harmless in the moment, but turns lethal over time? What cracks silently today may one day collapse like a cliff eroded by the tide. Tomorrow is not promised, and even if it comes, it will not come unless you change. This is why the 21st of September matters, not because the sky will shift for you, not because destiny will rearrange itself magically in your favor, but because this is the last moment before the next version of you is decided. A seed does not wait indefinitely for spring if it refuses to break the shell. It rots instead. Now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6-2. Could it be that heaven is showing you the urgency of time, not to frighten you, but to free you? What you refuse to decide today becomes the weight that chains you tomorrow. Tomorrow will either be the day your awakening begins to manifest, or the day your silence writes another page in the story of delay. The danger is subtle, and that's what makes it deadly. If you ignore this, life will appear to go on. You'll wake up, you'll breathe, you'll walk through routines, but inside, A little more of your fire will dim. Do not quench the spirit. 1 Thessalonians 5:19. Isn't this the erosion you've already felt, the dulling of your own light when you ignore the whisper to act, like a forest slowly choked by creeping vines? Your spirit is not destroyed instantly, but suffocated quietly, until you forget it was ever meant to stand tall. Most people don't collapse in one moment. They erode in silence. They wither the way a tree does not from a single storm, but from years of neglect. When roots dry and leaves fade, see to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble. Hebrews 12:15. Isn't it tragic that many mistake survival for living, all while their essence is decaying? The slow death of potential is far more dangerous than a sudden fall, like ice that seems solid but melts imperceptibly under the sun. Delay feels stable, until one day it's gone. That is the erosion you are being warned against now. Art has whispered this same truth. In Samuel Beckett's play, Waiting for Godot, two men wait endlessly for someone who never arrives. The minutes stretch into days, the days into lifetimes, until their waiting itself becomes the tragedy. Isn't that the warning for you? That if you keep waiting for the right moment, your life itself becomes the waiting. The night is nearly over, the day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Romans 13:12. The 21st of September is not about the stars, it is about the story you decide to write before the window closes. So rise. Chosen one. Stop drifting. Stop eroding. Stop waiting for tomorrow to do what today demands. You are standing at the edge of a window that will not stay open forever. Your silence will either script regret or ignite awakening. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Let this be the day the cycle breaks, the day delay dies, the day destiny begins. The time is not later, the time is now. Your silence writes another page in the story of delay. The danger is subtle, and that's why it's deadly. If you ignore this, life will appear to go on. You'll wake up tomorrow. You'll breathe. You'll walk through routines. But inside, a little more of your fire will dim. And what starts as a quiet compromise becomes the story of an unlived life. Most people don't collapse in one moment. They erode in silence. This is the erosion you are being warned against right now. That's why this message had to reach you before the 21st of September. Because today is still a window. Today you still have a choice. Today, your path is still malleable. Like molten metal that can be forged into strength before it cools. But tomorrow, that window begins to close, and the next version of you begins to crystallize. Choose this day whom you will serve. Joshua 24:15. Do you realize what that means? The decision is not neutral. It is forming you in real time. No teacher, no prophecy, no sign can decide in your place. Heaven may whisper, but your yes is the architecture that locks the foundation in place, just as in physics. Once a frequency stabilizes, it either resonates or dies away. Could it be that your indecision is letting your own frequency fade? So hear this and take it seriously. If you ignore it, you are not staying safe. You are choosing to fade. But if you act, if you step in, if you take this risk, you rise. On the other side of fear is the life that was always waiting for you. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. Most never see this side because they stop at the fire. They halt at rejection. They collapse under pressure. Haven't you noticed that the fiercest battles always come before breakthroughs, like a rocket shaking under the force of launch? Pressure is not proof of failure, it is proof of ignition. But the few who step forward, the few who take the risk, discover something that changes everything. At first, it felt like a loss. You lose people who never saw you clearly. You lose the comfort of blending in. You lose the illusion that everything was fine. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Mark 8:36. Isn't it true that the world often sells comfort as success? But inside that comfort, people wither, like tectonic plates grinding beneath the earth. What feels like destruction is actually the movement that creates mountains. Could your present shaking be the very process birthing the summit you were born to stand on? When a chosen one finally embraces their path, survival stops being the game. You shift into something greater. You stop living as if the world is happening to you, and begin to realize it is happening through you. Every challenge becomes a stage for your strength. Every silence becomes a channel for your insight. In all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. Romans 8:37. Haven't you wondered why even your setbacks seem strangely purposeful, like an athlete pausing between rounds in the arena? That silence is not absence, it is strategy. The sacred pause before the next surge of power. History proves this. The Italian painter and inventor Leonardo da Vinci, often ridiculed for unfinished projects, once wrote, "I have been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do it." His genius shifted history not because he carried every idea to perfection, but because he dared to move when others stayed stuck in thought. On the other hand, remember King Saul of Israel, who delayed obedience, listening more to fear than to God's voice. His hesitation cost him his crown and his destiny. 1 Samuel 15. Doesn't that warn you that delay is not neutral, it dethrones? Sorrise. Chosen one. This is the line in the sand. The night is nearly over, the day is almost here. Romans 13:12. Stop confusing delay with safety. Stop mistaking hesitation for wisdom. This is your window before it seals, before tomorrow crystallizes into regret. Rise now, and let the 21st of September become the day history remembers, not for your silence, but for your awakening. Clarity is the first gift. The fog lifts, and suddenly, you see, that constant second-guessing, that endless cycle of, what if I'm wrong? That invisible weight crushing your chest, it begins to dissolve. In its place emerges a sharpness that cannot be denied. You begin to know what matters. You begin to know who matters. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:22. Could it be that clarity is not something you achieve, but something you finally allow, like glass cleaned of dust? The light was always there. It just needed room to enter. You stop chasing every distraction because your vision won't let you. Suddenly, peace returns. Not the fragile, artificial peace that comes from avoiding conflict, but the unshakable peace that comes from alignment. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. John 14:27. You could be surrounded by chaos, but inside you are anchored. You could be walking alone, but within, you feel guided. Haven't you noticed how storms outside seem powerless when your soul is calm inside, like a ship with a deep keel? You no longer drift with every wave, you are steady, unmovable. And then the outer world begins to shift. People start reacting differently, not because they suddenly became kind, but because they cannot ignore the energy you carry, some will be drawn to it. Pulled toward you like a compass, finding north. Others will retreat, unable to stand in the presence of what they refuse to awaken in themselves. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Isn't that why your presence unsettles some while healing others, like fire? You cannot be touched without leaving a mark. The same flame that warms one heart can expose the shadows of another. Either way, you are no longer invisible. You are undeniable. Doors open. Opportunities align. Conversations happen at the exact moment they need to. For surely, O Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield. Psalm 5:12. Isn't it strange how what seemed impossible suddenly looks orchestrated? You realize the world didn't change. You did. And because you did, everything around you had no choice but to rearrange. What if the alignment you seek is not about controlling circumstances, but about shifting your own frequency? Like resonance in physics, when one string vibrates, another tuned the same way begins to hum. Could it be that your inner clarity is tuning the world around you into harmony? History echoes this. The South African leader Desmond Tutu once said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness." He did not wait for the world to approve his vision. He walked as if justice was already inevitable. His clarity became contagious, reshaping a nation. On the opposite side stands Judas Iscariot, the disciple who could not see beyond his own greed. His refusal to align with truth led him into betrayal, and the silver he gained turned into shame he could not bear. Isn't that the warning? That clarity without courage collapses into compromise, and compromise can cost everything. This is where real power begins, not when you wait for permission, but when you walk as though the path was already yours. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. The life you were meant to live isn't locked in some distant future. It begins the moment you take the risk, the moment you step forward without the world's approval, the moment you stop waiting for signs and start moving in faith. The 21st of September is not waiting for you to hesitate. It is waiting for you to rise. The moment you decide you'd rather face fire than live in a cage, that is when it begins. That is when the life you always sensed in your spirit, the one whispering to you in the quietest hours, the one you almost gave up believing in, finally starts to unfold. Once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Could it be that the fire you fear is not destruction but purification? The very furnace that melts away the chains, like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. The struggle looks violent, but leads only to wings. Once perception shifts, the world you wake up to, tomorrow is no longer the same as yesterday's. Awareness changes everything, not because the physical world rearranges itself overnight, but because you have changed, and your movement forces reality to respond. Isn't it true that when a tree bends toward light, the whole forest seems different? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. What if your inner renewal is the light the outer world has been waiting for? Awareness is not passive, it is an earthquake, shaking foundations that once looked unshakable. And when a chosen one realizes who they are, illusions lose their grip. Lies don't land the same way. Manipulation no longer sticks. Systems designed to numb you suddenly look transparent. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. Haven't you noticed how once your eyes are opened, What once intimidated you now looks hollow, like a shadow that vanishes when light shines. Deception has no substance. It only survives where you refuse to see. Awareness strips away the costume, leaving the world unclothed in its truth. That is why the world feels different after this. It's not that the world itself has shifted, it's that you have stopped playing by its script. You are no longer the audience, watching passively from the dark. You have stepped into the role of author, and creation itself must respond. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. Isn't it astonishing how quickly you notice subtle changes? People look at you longer, as if something about you unsettles what they thought they knew. Resistance you once felt in certain places suddenly dissolves, because the old blockages cannot hold against your new frequency. Like a river breaking through rock after centuries of persistence, your shift is irreversible. The arts reveal this mystery. In Dante's Divine Comedy, the pilgrim descends into hell, climbs the mountain of purgatory, and finally beholds paradise. Once his vision was cleansed, he could no longer see the world the same way. Isn't that your journey? The descent into fire, the climb through resistance, and the rising into clarity that reorders everything. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. So don't be surprised when things feel different. After this, they are supposed to. You are no longer a prisoner of shadows. Sorrise. Chosen one. Step out of the audience. Stop waiting for permission. The world is already adjusting to your shift. The 21st of September will not change because the stars move. It will change because you do. This is the moment your cage collapses and your fire becomes the signal. Step forward now and let the world see what alignment looks like. And so, chosen ones, the truth could not be clearer. The 21st of September is not just another date on the calendar. It is a divine marker, a line in the sand, a summons that will not wait forever. To ignore this moment is to choose delay, but to embrace it is to step into the life heaven has been preparing for you all along. This is not about fear, it is about clarity. Not about losing, it is about rising. If you carry nothing else from this message, carry this. What you decide now will echo long beyond tomorrow. If this word has stirred something deep inside you, I ask you to stand with this mission. Like this video, share it so others do not sleep through their calling, and leave a comment to declare your faith. Let your voice be part of this awakening. And if you have not yet subscribed, now is the time to join this journey, so you never miss what heaven is releasing in this season. To each of you who has supported through super thanks, and to those who simply listen and carry these words in your heart, I thank you deeply. Your presence here is no accident. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you peace. And may the 21st of September become not a day of regret, but the day your destiny awakened. You are chosen, you are seen, and you are ready.